From author Jim Lord comes the book, Don't Wait, Lead Now, available on Amazon. Don't Wait, Lead Now is a must-read for emerging leaders and anyone in leadership that wants to up their game. Author Jim Lord captures some of the most memorable, real-life leadership stories so you can use them as a tool to manage and lead others. Don't Wait, Lead Now consists of a series of insightful business lessons that the author explains in a relatable way. He uses real-life examples that are easy to understand and learn from, and you can apply these lessons to your everyday life. Don't Wait, Lead Now is inspiring and helps those facing the unique challenges that come with modern business problems and solutions. It's also great for anyone in a leadership role, whether they lead a sports team, at work, or at school. Author Jim Lord's passion really comes through in this book. He writes from the heart and shares stories that have influenced his leadership styles and can help you as well. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Don't Wait, Lead Now from author Jim Lord. Available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. Also visit the author's website, don'twaitleadnow.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Of course, we've got lots to talk about because, well, the whole country is falling apart. And we've got these two trials going on, the Aubrey trial and the Rittenhouse trial. Yeah, yeah. This is going to seem like a minor thing, but it's not. And I want to just get this out of the way. No one's talking about this, or at least not the reason why it's happening. You may have seen it mentioned in the news that Joe Biden is possibly going to boycott the Olympics in Beijing. And it's been reported, and no one's talking about why. It's some nonsense story about some human rights abuse. All of China, okay? Everyone in China, except for the ruling elite in the Chinese Communist Party, every citizen of China is having their civil rights violated each and every day, all right? It is not a free country unless you're an elite Chinese Communist Party member. The reason that Joe Biden is considering boycotting the Olympics in Beijing is if the United States is not there, China and Russia are going to win all the medals. And if you look at any Olympic Games, we're always number one. We always win more medals than any other country. We've got the greatest athletes. The greatest athletes from around the world immigrate to the United States because this is the place to be. And if we're not at the Olympics, all these other countries will win gold medals that our guys and girls would have won. And we all know that Joe Biden is corrupt. and this is just another little bit of his corruption. And it seems minor to you guys, but China, and Russia too, but China would love to have, I don't know, dozens, maybe even hundreds. I don't know how many medals they give out.
Remember when they had those...
They'd love to have dozens more gold medalists that they wouldn't have because we're not there. So it's just more Biden corruption.
Yeah, I mean, any decision he makes, you can pretty much bet that there's
for a good reason,
a paycheck behind it. Remember when China had those gymnasts that were 11 years old or something, and they were cheating, and they had girls that were way under the age requirement
with fake birth certificates and all this fake document.
It's very important to them to win, I guess.
So that's what Biden's doing. He sells out this country, even with the Olympic
highest bidder.
Games.
That's right.
All right, now I want to talk a little bit about these two trials. We're still on, as we are recording this, we are on verdict watch in the Rittenhouse case, and I very much hope we get that verdict today. But right now we're under verdict watch and put off actually doing the podcast as late as we could today because I was hoping to get a verdict. But now this Aubrey case, though, okay, now it's really unfortunate what's going on here with these two trials. These two trials are... So it's such a good thing that they're happening at the same time, but no one in the media are doing any comparing and contrasting, okay? You've got two different murder trials. You've got the entire media making the Rittenhouse case about race, even though everyone involved is white.
I know.
Right? The people that Rittenhouse shot in self-defense and killed in self-defense white. He's white. The Aubrey case, they're not making a racial issue out of that too much, not yet the media, when that's clearly a racial case. And, you know,
the mainstream media, Joy Reid, MSNBC, and all these people, for some reason, are acting as if there's a racial component to Rittenhouse. You look at the Arbery case. These guys in these 2 pickup trucks with Arbery, these are racist. In fact, I would be shocked if one of those guys, at least, if not all of them, is not in the Klan. Arbery was not a choir boy, okay? He was going through this house that was under construction. Nobody lived there. So they have the one homeowner. He wasn't doing home invasions or burglarizing I'm not justifying what he did, but he was obviously,
no one was
breaking the law.
No one was in imminent danger by him walking around a construction site.
Well, no, he was. It looked like he was a thief. I'm not.
But he wasn't like threatening anybody's life or breaking into your house when people are living there, and it wasn't a matter of defending your life or somebody's life in your home.
Now, these guys in the Arbery case, though, they were hunting him down.
Yeah, they were.
And that is clear racism. And, those of us that are hoping that Kyle Rittenhouse is acquitted, because textbook examples of self-defense, according to the videos and the witnesses, the one guy he shot that survived even says that Kyle Rittenhouse shot him in self-defense. Mm-hmm. So, clear case of self-defense. They're calling us racist, the mainstream media, for hoping that justice is done and Rittenhouse is acquitted. In the Arbery case, you don't see MAGA people, you don't see Republicans, you don't see anyone out there defending those guys. Those guys in the Arbery case have no defenders. They have no public support. And that's why the media are really, in many ways, ignoring the Arbery case. Mm-hmm. That's a true case of racism. Those guys are racist. They're hardcore racist. Now, we don't know how that verdict's going to come out. They might have a good old boy jury and they get acquitted. They may get a hung jury. They should all be convicted.
Well, the prosecutor on that's really good. And
yeah, she is.
This is an instance where the defendant should definitely have not been testifying on his behalf, because he admitted today or yesterday that Arbery was not a threat. I mean, he basically said that he didn't feel threatened by him. And the difference, like I said on the other show, is with Kyle Rittenhouse, you have video after video of Kyle being chased. And it all comes down, for me, as to who is doing the chasing and who is being chased. And Kyle was being chased. In the Arbery case, Arbery was being chased. And they were chasing him. Think about this. You got a black guy, running through a predominantly white neighborhood, and 2 pickup trucks full of white guys pull up and try to get him to stop running. I mean, I think he was the one who was afraid for his life. And the prosecutor said, and the guy admitted it, she said, you guys were following him for 5 minutes on the road. And, why? So obviously he wasn't a threat to you because you were following him, like what George Zimmerman did. You were following him. If he was a threat, why didn't you just leave if you felt you were in danger? And then the guy admitted he was not a threat to us. What a stupid thing to say.
Those
Arbery, guys should go to jail.
The Arbery trial, when I first moved to Florida, I moved to Florida, and when I was a kid, it was 1982. And I didn't live in the part of Florida we live in now. I lived in Central Florida then. And back in the 80s, throughout all of Florida, it was regular to see guys driving around with pickup trucks with shotguns in the back window of the pickup trucks. You don't see that so much anymore. In fact, I can't remember the last time
I've Confederate flags. You see a lot of that too.
Yeah, Florida's the demographic of Florida has changed a lot in the last 30, 40 years. But Georgia, these guys are racist. And this is what burns me so much about MSNBC and CNN and all these leftists, that everything's about race. They're obsessed with race. Everything's racist. The Kyle Rittenhouse, everyone's white's racist. None of us, and no one is defending these guys in the Arbery case. No one. They have no defenders. The guy's not even defending himself on the stand today. It was a disaster for the defense, thankfully so, because then justice will be done in the Arbery case. And the media won't give us credit for that, because Joy Reid and all these other people want to think that it's just like Winsome Sears was talking about. They want to think that it's still 1960, 1963, 1961, 1950. They don't want to acknowledge that the country has changed. This country, there's a difference See, the left have this standard that there, as long as there is anyone out there who's one person who's racist, or everyone doesn't agree with them, or both, the country is a failure. This country is no longer a racist country. That's not to say that there are not individual racists, right? Like these guys in the Arbery case, racist. Joy Reid, racist. You can make a list. Don Lemon, racist and heterophobe. I think he's a heterophobe too.
I agree with that.
But yeah, oh yeah.
And Joy Reid's a homophobe.
Yeah, that's right. And you heard me, heterophobe. Yeah. There's isolated people that are like that, like the ones we named, and there's others. You could spend the rest of your life listing individuals. But the country itself and the system is no longer racist. The media is not racist. I was watching. I was telling Kathy about this. Star Trek Discovery had their premiere, right? Mm-hmm. There's not one white guy in the main cast. The lead is a black woman.
There's not even a guy.
Not really. No, the lead's a black woman. The second lead is a white woman. Okay. There's a Hispanic guy in the background that's supporting. There's one white guy that's in an alien costume who's gay, who's supporting. And it's not just Star Trek Discovery. I mean, the system it's not the old system. It is no longer a racist system. It's no longer a racist country. There was a time when it was. I'm not disagreeing with that, but they won't acknowledge where we are today. And today in the Rittenhouse case, when the judge has thrown out MSNBC because one of their producers was following the jury bus yesterday.
No, it was a freelance journalist.
That was working for MSNBC.
Right.
Yeah. So, and MSNBC is denying all this stuff, but they were tossed out of the courtroom.
And NBC.
Yeah. This judge, he says he may never allow another camera in his courtroom after this trial because he's seen what it has done. And
I think he's going to declare mistrial.
That's a good thing and a bad thing. Mm-hmm. For example, cameras in courtrooms, I think, are a good thing, even though the media is a poison. It's very frustrating. In federal court, there's a lot of important cases, right? Like Steve Bannon's going to be in front of a federal judge, the Roger Stone trial, and there are no cameras inside federal courtrooms. Mm-hmm. So you don't really know what goes on in that entire process ever. And having cameras is a good thing. So I don't agree with the Rittenhouse judge about not having cameras in courtrooms anymore. I think it's important to do that. But the media, people in the media, except us, because this is a form of media, but you know what I mean, the mainstream corporate media, they are bottom feeders. Yeah. When I say a bottom feeder, the mainstream corporate media feed off the misery of others. And if there's not misery to cover, they create it. And,
they have no integrity. I don't think they ever did. I mean, look at Dan Rather, who was one of the top guys, even in the 90s or whenever George Bush, 2000s, he was faking evidence. I don't think the media has ever had any kind of integrity. If you look back on old newspaper clippings, even from the 18th century, and in the 1800s, and even the media has always been disgusting. Yeah, you're right. They're bottom feeders, and what they do is they create all kinds of damage, and then they move on to the next story, and they don't care who they hurt in the process, and they still feel that whatever methods they use in their mind, it's justified because they're getting to the truth. But the problem is they're not getting to the truth. They're making up things and they're manipulating things. And this thing with Joy Reid, I tell you, I saw her video going on about white man tears. She is a bigot.
White tears. She's
and she needs to be fired from that network. And I don't know how you fight racism by being a racist yourself. I don't understand that kind of logic. It's kind of like I always say to you, they're fighting misogyny by using misandry, and misandry is man-hating. So all these women executives now that are running Star Wars or Disney or ABC, they're fighting misogyny by being man-haters. Yeah. How does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Joy Reid is fighting racism by being a bigot. How does that make sense? She's no better. It's like these people that criticize Trump for his mean rhetoric while they're in turn calling him horrible names. and saying horrible things about his family. They're no better than him then by their own definition.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Nobody's elevating the conversation here. And you're right. Most people in this country, and I've said this, probably 98% of the people are good people. They get along with all kinds of people. And it's not like it was 60, 70 years ago where people couldn't go sit at a counter and have lunch or use the same bathroom. It's a totally different world now. There's interracial marriages. There's, biracial families, and it's a totally different world. And even Bill Maher said that. He said, but nobody acknowledges that. They just continue with the endless loop of racism and bigotry. And I always say, too, with climate change, how come nobody ever talks about all the strides we have made? I mean, everybody's recycling. They've lowered emissions on cars, but they keep telling you the sky is falling. Okay, so how come all the things we've done over the last 20 years, they haven't made any bit of a difference? They never talk about that. The same thing with COVID. They never talk about all the people that have recovered. That number kept adding up every day, and they never altered the number for the people that recovered from it. Well, it's like they manipulate things.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the media, the people in the mainstream media are very angry. I mean, they're very angry people. Obviously,
that's for sure.
Joy Reid and Don Lemon and Cuomo and all of them. But there's a phrase in news media. It's mostly for local news. If it bleeds, it leads. Mm-hmm. Which means you can figure out that means a car accident. That's local news. And in the mainstream national media, they go out and create bleeding so they have something to cover. Whether it's they
create the problem.
Well, they're trying to create a racial conflict in Kenosha over the Rittenhouse.
They want riots.
What they're trying to say now is because they're getting pushed. Well, everybody's white. How can this be racial? And they're acting as if they think he's going to be acquitted. We hope he is. The media think that Rittenhouse will be acquitted. So they're saying, well, he's getting acquitted because he's white. Well, if white privilege exists, he should be in the jail because he killed 2 white people and shot a 3rd white guy. So that
doesn't make sense.
3 white privileges should trump 1's white privilege.
But you're right. They're trying to create dissension where it doesn't. They're stirring the pot. They would love nothing more than for Kenosha to burn down again. Well, for people to riot. It's for people to run through the streets and shooting each other and burning down. That's what they would love. That crap. Are you kidding me? Want. So they're stirring the pot. They're trying to get people.
That's right.
CNN might even be paying some of those people to be there.
Who knows?
In front of the courthouse.
Now, of course, we want to talk about the Thomas Edison of sleep, the inventor of the MyPillow, Mike Lindell. In fact, I was just watching before the show. He did an incredible interview earlier this week, Mike Lindell, with President Trump. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, you should look it up online. And Mike Lindell's office emailed me some clips of that interview that I was just watching before the show. It is a great interview. You definitely want to check out Mike Lindell's interview with President Trump. And, this cancel culture in this country is out of control. And Mike Lindell, as crazy as this sounds, Mike Lindell is like the focal point of cancel culture in this country. You don't hear about it in the news because they don't want to talk about it too much. But the reason that is because he's being sued for over $1 billion. He's being sued. They're suing his company, MyPillow, and they want to send a message. They want to send a message to wealthy donors. They want to send a message to corporate leaders. Don't support Trump. Don't support MAGA, or we'll do to you what we're trying to do to Mike Lindell. And Mike Lindell was being interviewed, and he was asked, what can people do to help you? And what he said was, go to MyPillow and buy something. That's the best thing you can do to help me and help my employees stand up against cancel culture. MyPillow has been removed from over 70 retail stores. Over
plus
70
QVC.
retail stores. And QVC. Yeah, which is big. HSN. Which is big. The home shopping channels are big. And the retailers that have thrown out MyPillow, which is absurd, are the biggest national chains there are. And
you know how big QVC is? Lisa Rinna, who's an actress, she sells clothes on QVC. She owned a store in L.A. She said she would make more in 2 days on QVC than she'd make in the entire year in her shop.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money he's losing out on.
And, this business of boycotting after a year of shutdowns and lockdowns is absurd. And of course, when you use our promo code KANE at checkout at mypillow.com, KANE, you can take advantage of any special you see, regardless of what it says at MyPillow.com, and there's a link in the description of this episode to some really great specials with our promo code Kane. I just want to tell you about one right now, and that's the incredible special on the MyPillow towel set. We have the MyPillow towels. It is a proprietary towel.
They're the best.
I don't know what Mike Lindell discovered to make a perfect towel, but it works. I get out of the shower in the morning. You just touch your skin with the towel. You're dry. The towel is, I don't know where it absorbs the water, but the towel is not soaking wet. It's an amazing towel. And every time you wash and dry it, it's like the day you got it. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely amazing. And this is just one of the many specials with our promo code Kane at MyPillow.com. But this one is such a great special. It makes a great Christmas gift for anyone on your gift-giving list. And I just want to tell you about it because it's such a great deal. The MyPillow towel set, now they come in 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 different colors. The MyPillow towel set, the regular price is $109.99. $109.99. With our promo code at checkout, Kane, Kane, just $39.99. That's a great deal. That's right. Usually $110, now just under $40. $39.99 with the promo code Kane at checkout, Kane at MyPillow.com. All right, so now this is just insane what is going on. So Biden has appointed this woman to a post at the Treasury Department who's a communist. She went to school in the Soviet Union. She went to the school and she went to college in the Soviet Union with the education being paid for by a scholarship named after Lenin. And she's talked about bankrupting the oil industry and everything recently in this country. And she's a college professor. And I'm going to tell you, I was watching the hearing today. You know, she's in front of the Senate hearing, and some of them are asking her some pretty tough questions. She's one that may not get confirmed by the Senate.
I hope not. I don't know what Joe Biden's thinking. There's a reason, of course, behind his decision to do this, and we can all take a stab at that one. He never does anything for the good of the country. It's always for the good of Joe Biden.
Absolutely.
There's a reason. I mean, there's a lot of economists. There's a lot of people he could put in this job. Why her?
Yeah.
She's a communist. I mean, well, that's what Senator Kennedy basically said. He wanted to call her comrade.
Yeah, I'm going to take it a step further. She obviously is a communist. There's no doubt about it. She denounced the Soviet Union today or something.
Whatever, because she was forced to.
Yeah, I don't buy any.
No,
I don't buy
how
any
convenient.
Of that. But here's what I'm going to go a little bit farther. We're talking about this Omarova lady. I believe she's a Russian spy in this country.
Maybe.
She's a college professor, and there was just an article. Actually, we talked about it on the show a week or two ago about how the Chinese intelligence agency works, and they work very much like this. People immigrate to this country. They're spies. They're sleeper spies. They don't do much. They get jobs as college professors or in major corporations, and then 20 years later, they're in a key place, and they have a lot of influence. And I believe she's a Russian spy. I believe she is still a communist. I believe she's working for Putin directly. Mm-hmm. The Soviet Union still exists, not by name, but the KGB, they may have changed all their names, but they got a dictatorship going over there. And there's definitely a Cold War situation going on between us and the Russians. And, you know, when you go back to the problems President Trump had, Vindman was born in the Ukraine when the Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he and his brother were born in the Soviet Union. Now, they came here as babies, but their parents grew up in the Soviet Union.
Right.
Okay?
It's like that show, The Americans.
That's exactly right, a great FX show. The ambassador to the Ukraine that testified in the hearings against Trump for the impeachment, she was born in the Soviet Union. Mm-hmm. And I believe they're all spies, quite honestly. Yeah. I believe they're all spies.
I don't think that's terribly far-fetched.
Yeah, and this woman here, she's talking about wanting to bankrupt oil and gas companies. She would have, if she gets this job, she would have influence over U.S. economic policy. She would have influence over U.S. regulation, and she could do damage.
Yeah.
You know, she's already doing enough damage as a college professor. You know, people save up their entire lives. Sometimes people take out mortgages on their homes to send their kids to college to be educated by Russian spies. And, Elizabeth Warren, the fake Indian, Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren today was talking about sexism and all kinds of things being used, racism and other things being used against her.
That's their go-to.
There's no sexism or racism. She is a communist. She's been very open and vocal about it her entire time in this country.
Well, Elizabeth Warren is the last person to talk about racism.
She's the biggest racist of all.
I know.
Because she was passing as a Native American Indian her entire life. She still does.
I know.
She's never given that up. And,
to benefit her to elevate her career.
She got a job at the university because of it as a Native American.
She basically took on
racism.
the identity of a minority group.
See Thomas Howell and Soul Man.
Right, to elevate her career, but we're racist for questioning this communist intentions.
Remember C. Thomas Howell and Soul Man took Ray Dong Chong's scholarship away? That's Elizabeth Warren.
Exactly. This is what liberals do now. They call everything racist. I mean, like bridges are racist and everything's racist because they cannot uphold their ideas. Their ideas are not washing with the American people. So because the American people are rejecting them, they can't acknowledge, well, maybe I just have bad ideas. No, now they're calling, Jen Psaki said, if you don't like Kamala, it's because you're racist.
Oh, of course.
Well, no, we just don't like a cackling idiot walking around imitating French accents and looking like a moron.
So is that why Jill Biden doesn't like her? Or is she just not likable?
So that's what they do. If you don't like their ideas, it's not that they've done anything wrong. No, it's your fault because you're a bigot.
Yeah, now
that's what they say.
Now this Russian spy that Biden's appointed. Listen, this is in the Daily Mail. Republicans attacked Biden's controversial picks for bank regulator. She's going to put her in charge of regulating the banks, a communist, at her nomination hearing on Thursday, accusing her of planning to nationalize the U.S. banking system with her socialist manifesto. Socialist is mild. It's communist manifesto. The Cornell University law professor who grew up as a young communist and wrote a thesis on Karl Marx at Moscow State University, denied being a communist and walked back her claim she wants to bankrupt oil and gas companies. She says, I've never seen a more radical nominee by a federal regulator, said Pat Toomey today when he was talking about it. It goes on. There's no doubt about it. This woman is a communist, and Joe Biden has appointed her to a job where she's in charge of regulating the capitalist banking system, someone from the Soviet Union. And they can throw out Joe McCarthy's name all. The big secret about Joe McCarthy is Joe McCarthy was right. And the reason Joe McCarthy has been villainized is because the left are communist, and he knew about it over half a century ago.
I mean, this is not a new problem. I mean, there's a new show about Lucille Ball coming out on Amazon, and there's a whole segment about her being, I'm not saying she was, but her being accused of being a communist. This was a big thing way back, with Hollywood and the left, and a lot of them were involved in the communist. I don't get what the appeal is, but a lot of them were involved in the Communist Party, and Frida Kahlo and her husband were communists, and they were Mexican. So it's not a new concept here. It's been haunting this country ever since it came about. When what was the birth of communism in the early 20th century? I don't know, with Lenin or something. Yeah. So it's been haunting this country, but a lot of times too, they use it to manipulate people. But this woman clearly, I don't understand why he chose her, but he chose her for his own benefit, for whatever that is. She's a problem. She has a problem with her ideology. It's not American, that's for sure. And I think you're right. There's other things going on, but I hope she doesn't get appointed. Yeah. I pray to God these people, we don't have the majority, but we have a close enough, they're only ahead by like one or two. Is it equally divided or
the Senate's 50-50?
50-50. Okay. So all we need is one person on the left to not say she can go through, because Kamala is going to pass her through. So luckily they don't have a super majority at all. I mean, it's like tied down the middle, but hopefully one or two people will realize that this is a problem. And if you are living in a state where you have a Democratic senator, okay, you need to call them, their office, and tell them that you do not want them to pass this appointment. You do not want them to vote yes on this. You need to call their office, send emails if you have a Democratic senator, and because I don't think any Republicans are going to push her through, and tell them you do not want this woman being appointed to this position. This is not insanity. The right thing to do.
It's insanity. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. Do not go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
Are you living the life that you and your family deserve? The book, The Power to Profit, Special Edition, from author Takia Diamond, available on Amazon, will teach you to master your wealth consciousness and accelerate your abundance so that you can access the power to profit. It's time to get past the struggle mentally and create wealthy habits that put you in alignment where abundance lives within your DNA. You have the ability to change it all, but you must understand it's an internal job. Although you may have made many attempts to figure out why money keeps its distance from you, hardships continue to disturb your happiness, plague your mind, and interfere with your daily life. The idea of money doesn't have to be fearful. It's time to know the truth about money and how to use it to generate more of it. If you feel stuck as to how to increase your bank account balance, the Power to Profit Special Edition will help you discover ways to make money while you sleep from passive income streams, get answers to your investment questions, and also teach you how to save. What are you waiting for? Take that first step right now and order your copy of The Power to Profit Special Edition from author Takia Diamond, available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. How do you really see yourself? Are you living authentically? The book from author Lisa Deanna, A World Sold on Image, available on Amazon and most online booksellers, is a powerful guide for those who are ready and willing to stop living in a false definition of beauty and start living in truth. Most of what we have been taught about beauty was rooted in childhood and is wrong. In this inspiring guide to beauty, author Lisa Deanna makes a solid case for what real beauty is. She takes out the cliche, beauty is on the inside, and proves no one lacks beauty. We only lack the ability to see who we are authentically. Whether we realize it or not, most of us strive to be an image of what society deems as beautiful, and imitation is becoming our full-time job. While the author supports the importance of image, she knows from working in one of the most image-driven fields, cosmetics, that a flawless image is not enough to be beautiful, and reveals the powerful steps to live a life compromised of beauty. Order your copy right now. A World Sold on Image from author Lisa Deanna, available on Amazon and most online retailers. If you're looking for some truly special art on Etsy, you need to check out The Nightjar online at thenightjar.etsy.com. The Nightjar shop features affordable, high-quality artwork, including paintings, prints, needle-felted sculptures, and jewelry. Based in California, artist Tara Lyons makes original art that's unique and personal. Check out her glitter glass tree ornaments and her needle-felt creations. She has beautiful one-of-a-kind paintings, cards, and a lot more. Tara's art is sweet, thoughtful, and collectible. Everything is delivered right to your door and packed with care. Looking for a great gift? Check out The Nightjar on Etsy. It's a shop you will want to visit again and again. thenightjar.etsy.com. Share the link on all of your social media. thenightjar.etsy.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Listen to this. President Trump, he's getting ready for the midterms. Vote out the rhinos, sellouts, and losers. Trump campaign names names, calls on supporters to vote out all the rhinos. Republicans in name only is what that stands for. I like calling them rats, Republicans against Trump. The Trump campaign, this is in the Gateway Pundit. The Trump campaign released a powerful video calling on Republicans to vote out the rhinos in the party in 2022. And this is what the video says. Any interest from good and smart America First Republican patriots to run primary campaigns against representatives, and he goes through a long list of names of everyone he's got. It's a long list, so I'm not going to read them all now. You will have my backing, Trump stated. Gonzalez, Kinzinger, and Reid already quit. They are out of politics, hopefully for good. Warmonger.
There's another guy that announced he was quitting, another Democratic senator, congressman today.
Yeah. Warmonger Liz Cheney, challenge accepted, is on the skids with a 19% approval rating. Saving America See, that's the new campaign slogan for President Trump.
A good one.
Starts by saving the GOP from rhinos, sellouts, and known losers. In the Senate, the disaster from Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, must go.
Yeah.
There is almost nobody worse, he added. And
there's no point in having Republican representatives represent you if they're going to vote with the Democrats.
No, there's no.
When they're aligning themselves with the Democrats, then what's the point of having them there?
That's what
it doesn't matter what letter is after their name.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Manchin and Sinema. They are Democrats, but a lot of times they think more like Republicans.
Yeah.
It matters how they vote. That's what matters.
Yeah, and that's why they call them Republicans in name only. They're frauds.
That's right.
They're not really Republicans. Chris Christie is on TV every 5 minutes now.
Well, he's got a book out.
And Fox, it's like he's like on Fox as much as Michael Avenatti was on CNN, during the Stormy Daniels phase. And, I used to like Chris Christie. There was one moment with Chris Christie when he was first governor, and I was like, wow, this guy is awesome. I don't think that anymore. But he was at a town hall, and a woman came up a teacher complaining about teachers' pay. And he says, well, you knew what teachers made when you went to college. You should have majored in something else.
Pretty funny.
If you wanted more money.
True.
And I thought, well, that's a pretty clever answer.
School.
Exactly. Yeah, but you don't have every weekend and summer off and every paid holiday.
And you don't get off work at 2:00.
Exactly. But and I thought, wow, this is pretty good. And he's become a complete sellout. And he was on with Martha McCallum on Fox a little while ago. And he was talking about what the Republican Party needs and going through some list of gobbledygook things that went in one ear and out the other of mine.
Well, he's planning on running for president against Trump.
Luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Listen, this is what we need. We already got it. It's Trump. It's not about – we've already got the agenda. It's Make America Great Again, Save America, and Trump, and vote for whoever Trump says. And as far as I'm concerned, anyone except Mike Huckabee, who does it kind of for fun, anyone who poses a primary challenge to President Trump, put their name down on the list, never believe them, never support them.
No, Mike Pence is going to run against him.
That's all. No more needs to be said than that.
And people actually think they had one of Trump's – I love all these ex-advisors and people that worked for Trump that stayed in those jobs and stayed with him, but now they're on TV bashing him because they all have books to sell. And anti-Trump books, I guess, are very lucrative. And they had another one of his advisors or aides or whatever said that she thinks Mike Pence is going to run, and she thinks he can beat Trump, which is laughable.
The thing. Okay,
never going to happen.
I was talking about this on the radio a little bit today. A lot of people run, and I have known people who have run for federal office repeatedly, year after year. It is a scam. There are people that are professional candidates. They run for congressional seats. They never win. They know they'll never win, but they raise a lot of money and they make a lot of money.
We know a few.
And there's a lot of money to be made running for office.
That's true.
So someone like Mike Pence knows he has no hope of winning the Republican nomination.
But he doesn't have a job right now.
But he has no job, and nobody wants to buy any book that this joker writes. I'll tell you that right now.
No, be reading like a technical book.
And I don't even think he could get a congregation in a church if he became a minister because people are so ticked at him. And this is
Do you think he realizes that?
Yes.
Or do you think he sees himself as a hero?
No, everywhere he goes, people tell him.
He might as well just switch parties.
Let me tell you something. Mike Pence, this crazy statement, but it's true. Mike Pence is as popular as O.J. Simpson, I would say. Now, so he knows he has no chance. This is a money-making scam. Chris Christie is different. Chris Christie is a crazy man, and he thinks he's better than Trump. And he used to be a good guy, and he turned on Trump. He turned on us, and Republicans stood by him with that scandal he had about the bridge and everything. He did that.
Yeah. Remember when he closed the beach?
Yeah.
And nobody could go to the beach.
Except him.
He could sit on the beach with his family and have a little private. He's made a lot of bad choices. He used his position a lot of times. He took advantage of his position and did things he should not have done. Yeah. And little petty things. He's a
petty man.
He seems like a petty person.
He is.
And I know he's known Trump a long, long time. They're friends. Trump offered him apparently to be his chief of staff, which he turned him down, which I can understand. That's probably a step down from being governor, like you had told me earlier, and I agree. But now he's outright selling a book and bashing Trump. And he's like kind of like Geraldo. He says in one hand that he's Trump's friend, and then he throws him under the bus.
Exactly.
That's not a friend.
No.
You're not a friend if you throw your friend under the bus.
No.
If friends like that, you don't need enemies, as they say.
Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you don't know what Patreon is, you become a patron, a supporter of the program. Mm-hmm. And there's a link in the description of this and every episode. You click for Patreon. You click on the Patreon page. It takes you to the Brian Craig Show podcast Patreon page. And it walks you through if you would like to become a Patreon supporter. And I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. All the names you're about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Rich, Nick, Pamela, Dee, Rick, Paul, and Jacqueline. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for your support of the program. It helps a lot. It means a lot. And it certainly is very much appreciated. So thank you so much for that. You know, what's going on right now in this country is a complete disgrace. You know, who was it that said today? Oh, yeah, it was Bill Maher. You know, Bill Maher is becoming a very interesting man. Mm-hmm. Bill Maher, just this week, first he came out and defended parents who are against critical race theory. Mm-hmm. And then he was talking about Hunter Biden and Don Jr. He said if Don Jr. was doing the things that Hunter was doing, it would be on TV every night.
All day, every night. He said that's all they'd be talking about, which is true.
And a week and a half ago, both of Biden's daughter's a basket case too. A week and a half ago, the feds broke into James O'Keefe's house looking for the Biden daughter diary.
Well, you know, there was this woman who was talking about Trump who said Pence could beat him. She was one of his advisors. She said if Trump won, it would be a nightmare because he would use the DOJ to go after his political enemies. Well, it seems that's what Biden's doing.
Yes.
Biden is using the
Look
power.
At Steve Bannon, for
example. Right. Biden is using the Department of Justice to go after anybody who he deems as a political threat, including parents, Steve Bannon, Project Veritas. Remember Obama spied on James Rosen from Fox News. I mean, this is what liberals do. And let me tell you, I mean, they spied on Trump. Cheryl Atkinson, anything liberals accuse people of doing, they're doing it themselves. That's why it's a deflection and a projection.
Yeah.
They're trying to deflect. Look at Eric Swalwell. Look what he was up to. But he was one of the biggest guys screaming from the rooftops, look at Trump, look at Trump, look at Trump, because he didn't want you to see what he was up to. And that's what they do. And look at Hillary Clinton started this entire fake Russian narrative because she was the one working with the Russians to create this fake narrative in this dossier. I mean, it was completely fabricated. It's ridiculous.
You know, I forgot to mention this in the previous segment about this communist Soviet spy that Biden is putting in charge of the banking system or trying to. In 1995, she was arrested for shoplifting.
Yeah. Another winner.
And
the left need new heroes.
You're going to put a shoplifter in charge of the banking system of the United States?
Let's hire. She understands money, I guess.
It's barely in the news. These things are barely in the news.
They cover up and they protect.
You know, it's amazing to me. James O'Keefe, this thing with James O'Keefe's disappeared, no updates. James O'Keefe is quickly becoming, Project Veritas, the WikiLeaks Julian Assange of America.
Yeah, and look what happened to him.
The way things are going, James O'Keefe is going to end up like Julian Assange in a jail cell one day.
I think so.
And a lot of people believe
like a political prisoner.
Yeah, a lot of people believe that the reason these raids happened on Veritas and him was because they wanted his sources that he's getting because he gets a lot of information. It wasn't the diary.
Right, they were looking for something.
The diary was out like before the election.
I think they want to find his sources and they want to find who's his donors. They want to find who's funding him because he's funded by people. He has big people behind him.
Yeah.
He doesn't make money off this stuff. He's funded.
Well, he makes a living, but he gets
no, but private donors are the big majority because he's not like selling anything.
Yeah.
So they're looking
just
for
the
that.
Truth. He's selling the truth.
Well, yeah, but he's
free.
not like, I don't know if he has ads or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
No, it's a totally independent journalistic enterprise.
It's so they're looking for donors, like you said. They weren't looking for what they said. That was an excuse to really look through his stuff.
This is what they did. The Watergate break-in was about getting a list of donors to the Democrats.
Right, exactly.
And what happened with Project Veritas last weekend and James O'Keefe, which it'll be 2 weeks ago this Saturday, was like a Watergate type situation.
Yeah, exactly.
They wanted two things, what Kathy said. They want to know who's funding them.
Right.
And they want to know who their sources are. And when you see a Project Veritas whistleblower on YouTube or something, most of the people that are giving them information you never see or hear from, probably. And they want that information.
That one woman is running for senator or something, or congressman, that Carrie Lake
in Arizona
that we interviewed.
She's running for governor of Arizona.
So she's going into politics.
Oh, God help her.
And
they're going to hate
she
her.
might win. You never know.
I think she will win.
Yeah.
I think she will win. But, this thing with James O'Keefe, he's being completely monitored. His phones, his computers, the house all bug wired up.
Well, and that's probably why they get warrants too, because when they searched his home. When they search your home and they search your office, that's what they do.
They live behind surveillance.
Right, and maybe that's why they use that excuse to get in there, because they leave bugs and things like that. Remember when Trump did a whole said they had to fix the air conditioning in the White House or something, and that was in the news, and I said to you, I bet he's doing a sweep of the whole White House right now, and that's what they're telling the press.
That's right.
But I think he's looking for listening devices.
That's right. I think so. That when he first became president, they did spy on. They were sweeping.
That's right,
doing sweeps. But believe me, Julian Assange and James O'Keefe are in the scheme of history are going to be remembered in the same way, because they are doing to James O'Keefe what they successfully did, sadly, to Julian Assange, because they report the truth on big people. And, this used to be what Matt Drudge did. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to Matt Drudge. I don't know what happened to the Drudge Report, but that's what he used to do. Mm-hmm. But, Matt Drudge
he used to break stories, and not anymore. Now he just has links.
Well, Matt Drudge, though, I shouldn't say he was like WikiLeaks and Project Veritas. He was working with the establishment directly.
GOP establishment.
He was working with the Republican establishment directly, Matt Drudge, as opposed to, I know James O'Keefe goes to CPAC and he's connected to Republicans. There's no doubt about it, but he's not like working. He gets his own information, does his own investigations. Drudge wasn't like an investigative reporter. People gave him information and things like it was a little different.
But isn't that kind of what WikiLeaks does? Don't they kind of post? And I think it's similar.
They post raw data.
But they post what people give them.
Yes.
Whether it's anonymously or whistleblowers or so it's kind of in the same thing.
But the media, I mean, think about it. If there was a raid on NBC News or CNN and they busted into Don Lemon's house like that, it'd be all over the place, a nonstop dialogue. They do it to James O'Keefe and Veritas. It's not even in the news anymore.
Well, the difference is Don Lemon's not investigating anything or breaking any stories.
No, but the media...
He just shows up and spews lies for an hour every night.
The mainstream media are in the business of covering up the news.
Yeah, that's for sure.
They don't want people to know what's going on in the news.
Well, they create their own news. They create their own narrative.
That's right.
They create their own story, their own news, instead of... they don't tell you the truth. Maybe they never did. I mean, how long has this been going on?
Forever.
We really never... People never really notice it. And I think with Bill Maher, and I've always liked Bill Maher, I've always respected him. I think he's a sensible person. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's a highly intelligent person. And I respect him for calling out the Democrats, and he has been calling them out week after week after week. I feel that his thing with Trump was more personal than anything. I think
he's had a big awakening, Bill Maher.
But he seems to have really had a big awakening because I think he's really disgusted with the Democratic Party and how radical and woke they've become. And I think he just can't believe. But I think what he needs to realize is they've always been this way. Now, they have become more radical over the last few years since Trump came along. He kind of brought the crazy out. But they've always been kind of in this mindset. And I think maybe it's like when Paul, when he was blind and then the scales came down off his eyes and he could see the truth about Christ. It's like all of a sudden the scales have come off his eyes and he sees the truth of what's really happening. And I think he's really at a crossroads. And I really feel if it wasn't for Trump, that Bill Maher would switch parties and come out and say, I'm a Republican. But he's not going to do that as long as Trump is a part of this party. Now, I don't think so.
I just want to read a comment that someone left, a liberal left, on YouTube.
Love comments.
On one of my videos on YouTube talking about the Rittenhouse case. And they wrote every letter of every word in complete capitals.
Oh, that means they're yelling at you.
Yeah, and I that's so annoying. But here's what they wrote. The gun wasn't registered to Kyle.
So?
Okay, now we get to this.
It doesn't matter.
We don't have a national gun registration. And, this is some liberal who's like from New York or something where you have to register guns.
Right.
Like in Florida where we're at, we don't have to register our guns.
Not every state is like that.
There's a very strong pro-Second Amendment state. You don't register guns.
Right.
The gun wasn't registered to Kyle and he was too young to own, period. Oh, incomplete sentence there. And he was too young to own. Okay, I'm assuming they mean the gun.
So what does that mean? What is say that? Hold on. Say that's true. Say all that's true. Okay. Does that negate the fact that he was being chased and hunted down in the mean streets of Kenosha by criminals, by convicted criminals?
You don't have to be 18 years old to possess a rifle.
The one guy he killed, there was one guy he shot
in self-defense.
Right, and they said he's got like 40 priors.
Yeah.
I never realized, I mean, it makes sense that Antifa is really basically just a bunch of criminals. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's obvious now because you see how they behave. What I'd like to know, and I don't know why Trump didn't do anything about this, or you said he was talked out of it. Why doesn't the Department of Justice go after them?
Antifa?
Why are they going after parents for questioning critical race theory, but they won't investigate Antifa? Because
they're an arm of the Democrat Party.
That tells you everything you need to know. They use them for their purposes. They're useful for them.
Yeah.
And they don't want to investigate them. I wish James O'Keefe would really do some investigative journal like he did with Acorn, with getting the behind the scenes.
They did a little thing on Antifa. I think it was before the election, but it's such a secret organization.
It is, yeah.
They didn't
really go anywhere.
Let me finish up with this comment, though. Okay, so this guy here, the gun wasn't registered to Kyle. I don't think they have gun registration there, and he was too young to own. Period. I'm assuming the gun. That is correct. He was too young to own the gun. That's why he didn't own it.
No, his friend
did.
did.
But you can be under 18 and be in possession of a long rifle.
Remember, the judge threw that out, and even the prosecution agreed that he was not breaking any laws.
Exactly.
There. So that was dismissed.
That's right. Then he goes on. He wasn't hunting with it, and not a Wisconsin resident! ! You don't have to go hunting to have a gun.
No.
And you don't have to be a resident of a state to possess a gun. Maybe some states like New York have strict laws, but no laws there. This was vigilantism. No, it wasn't vigilantism. He was there to render first aid to people in need, and he did. Please accept truth. The liberals, they all have the truth.
If Kyle didn't have,
nice to have the truth.
Their truth.
Yeah.
If Kyle didn't have that gun with him, he'd probably be dead, and nobody would even think twice about it, and that would be it. You have a right to defend yourself in this country, and if you're in a state that's an open carry state, and you're allowed to carry a gun.
That's correct.
And somebody is chasing you. And again, I've said this because I was on the other side of this until I saw the videos.
Well, you didn't know the facts.
Right. The media wasn't telling you. Kyle was the one being chased. And I saw the new video this morning, the drone footage of the high def. He was being chased. Every video, Kyle is being chased. The one guy he shot, they showed the video, he threw something at him. And then Kyle, when he shot the one guy that had his arm blown off, Kyle was on the ground. He had nowhere to go. It's like Obi-Wan Kenobi when he told Anakin that he had the higher ground and he cut his arms off. The guy with the Glock had the upper hand. He was over him and had the gun pointed to his head. Kyle was on the ground and had nowhere to go. He could not run anywhere. He had no choices, definitely in that instance, to do what he did.
No
that
question.
guy's lucky he's not dead for what happened. And I think, now they're saying people are complaining he shot somebody 4 times. Well, you got to understand, it's the heat of the moment. Things are happening so fast. And when somebody is coming at you really quickly, all you're thinking is, I don't want to die. And what can I do to stop this? They make it sound, and they were accused of showing video in slow motion because they wanted the jury to think that this happened so slowly. Everything happens in seconds, split seconds, like 2 seconds. You don't have time to necessarily weigh the pros and cons here of what's going on. You just react to what's happening.
All right, now we're going to take a quick break, and we got some breaking Kamala Harris news we're going to get to after the break. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
We all go through challenges in life. Try overcoming gigantic obstacles while only 4 feet tall. That can be pretty challenging, right? Author Felicia Osborne did just that and shares her story in her book, The Little Giant's 7 Keys to Overcome Life's Challenges, available on Amazon. Being born with a disability can limit your desire of dreaming big for yourself. Author Felicia Osborne has osteogenesis imperfecta, which is a genetic condition passed down that causes her bones to break easily. Even a sneeze can break her bones, but through it all, not much can break her spirit. She stopped growing at 4 feet. Powerlessness is what most would feel about themselves with this disability. But this limitation turned author Felicia Osborne into the little giant who would do amazing big things to help others become resilient without limits. The roadblocks you face that would normally hinder your success don't have to. In this must-read guide, she will share 7 ways that she overcame life's challenges. The Little Giant's 7 Keys to Overcoming Life's Challenges from author Felicia Osborne. Order your copy right now on Amazon. The book, Let Me Perish from Starvation's Love by Limelight, is now available on Amazon. When Limelight's mind goes a-wandering, look out. From hysterically funny to tragic, this collection of short stories and poems will have you scratching your skull and wondering what kind of person can come up with these weird, wacky words. Let Me Perish from Starvation's Love will surely keep you entertained and ultimately expose you to seeing the world in a new light. Let Me Perish from Starvation's Love by Limelight is available on Amazon and Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Order your copy right now. We all get the calls, we all get the emails, but can you tell the difference between a legitimate call or email and a scam? Scammers are working harder than ever before to take advantage of you, your identity, and your money. With some guidance and perspective, the book, A Cure for the Common Scam, available on Amazon, will help walk you through steps you can take to protecting yourself against the common scams of today. Explained in non-technical, straightforward, and practical terms, you will learn why a passphrase may be more secure than a password, how to safeguard your bank and investment accounts, how to stay safe while shopping online, and much more. You do not have to fall victim to schemes of scammers. Learn what it takes to stand up to them and protect yourself today. Available now on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. A Cure for the Common Scam, a non-technical guide for navigating the pitfalls of the internet.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. All right, now Kamala Harris is making some big moves here. Big moves. There's been a lot
I told you she leaked that stuff.
Well, there's a new one. Kamala Harris has been leaking a lot of things for the past about a week now, and she is making a bold move. Yep. And I think what happened, we used to talk about this before the election and the early days after. Everyone assumed that Joe Biden would step down at some point in his term and Kamala would become president. And
yeah, everybody thought that.
I didn't think that because Jill Biden is as corrupt as her scummy husband, and she's not going to give up that first lady thing and have to walk behind Kamala. You know what I mean? So, but I think Kamala believed that. And now she's realized that Joe is not stepping down and she's not going to get that job. So she's been leaking all of these stories to try to bully Biden into something.
Yeah, she's behind these leaks.
Yeah. Now listen to this. This is breaking news. This just happened. Kamala Harris's communication director, Ashley, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, is leaving Kamala Harris's office amid reports that Kamala is being sidelined. As communications director, she would have been in charge of the PR operation for Kamala. Kamala Harris has taken a beating in recent weeks with a series of unflattering stories. She hit back claims she is being underused as vice president. She said that's not true, blah, blah, blah. What's going on here is this woman, who's her PR person, she's an African-American woman. You're going to start seeing her very soon on CNN, MSNBC, maybe even Fox. She's still working for Kamala Harris unofficially. She's going to, now that she's free of the White House, she's going to go out there and go on a PR swing, right? Making the case that Kamala Harris has been sidelined. She's left in protest of her mistreatment. She's going to talk about sexism and racism and all these other isms.
So what do you think Kamala's going to do? Is she trying to force Biden's hand, or is she looking for a way out, and is she going to quit and use this as her excuse?
She's not going to quit. In the modern times,
what do you think's her end game?
There's only been one vice president to leave office. That was over financial corruption, Spiro Agnew.
What do you think she's up to?
She won something. That story that came out 2 or 3 days ago about her taking a Supreme Court spot, that was her floating something out there.
The catalyst to all this is not a coincidence. All this began when her approval rating came out, which was like in the 20s. And she realized the American people don't like her.
She's not electable.
And she's not electable. She's regretting what she did. She's destroyed her career because once she's done with this, there's nowhere for her to go. Nobody likes her because they see what she's really all about. She's weird. And it's not because she's black or Indian or a woman. It's because she says stupid things, does stupid things. She cackles everywhere she goes. She doesn't instill confidence in anybody. Yeah. She's rude, obnoxious. She's annoying, incompetent. I mean, I could go on and on. So I am curious, I said this before, she is behind these leaks. And I said that a couple days ago, and that is true. I believe that to be true. She is angling for something, or she, like I said, it's possible, you don't agree with me, that she could be wanting to quit. And she's using this as an excuse.
No, she's not going to quit.
To say, well, I'm dealing with bigotry here. I'm dealing with racism, and I can't deal with that.
This is what happened. She
wants something.
What set her off, all this started.
Was the approval.
After, it was that, but it was more than that. That wasn't the main thing. The thing that set Kamala Harris off was last week when Mayor Pete had that press conference.
I think it was both combined.
Mayor Pete had that strange press conference in the White House press briefing room alone, playing president for half an hour with the press. She hasn't had a moment like that, and she got pissed off. And Biden, a lot of this bill that they just passed is under the control of Mayor Pete. He has all this authority. He's one of the most powerful people. This is crazy. Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who's completely incompetent, is one of the most powerful people in Washington now because he's been put in charge of most of the funding from this new bill they just passed the other day. And that set her off, and she's realized she's not going to be president. He's not stepping down, and she can't be elected. She walked away from a lifetime job as the United States Senator from California.
I think she thought it would be a doorway to her
she's realized,
taking over and being the first female president.
She's realized that's not going to happen.
Right.
Now. That's not going to happen now. So she wants this Supreme Court job, even though there's not a current vacancy. She wants this Supreme Court job because that's a lifetime appointment, and it's prestigious. She'd be the first black woman to replace the lifetime job she had as a senator that she walked away from. And that's what she's trying to do. And she's going to have her PR person. She'll become a pundit, and she's going to be advocating for Kamala by talking about all the discrimination and everything she's faced under the Biden. Now, this is good stuff for us and for Trump because it means that the Democrat Party is in complete disarray.
They're in total chaos. They are in total chaos. They all hate each other. They want you to think that they're now. But there's problems in our party too. You have the never Trumpers.
Well, Trump is fixing that.
And so hopefully
they don't have
after next year that'll go away.
They don't have a fixer. Yeah. She's not looking to leave because that's an embarrassment unless she were like on the Supreme Court. That would be a big deal.
That's never going to happen. She's never going to be on the Supreme Court.
But she's not self-aware.
No, nothing is going to happen. Her dreams are over.
But she doesn't know that.
She's never going to be president.
No.
She's never going to go anywhere after this. She's going to be like Dukakis. That's it. She's done. She's going to go away.
But she doesn't know that.
Or Mondale.
She doesn't know that. She's not self-aware.
She's going to realize it soon. She's trying to manipulate the press to get something going. She's putting these stories out there. She's trying to use the press to manipulate
and it's
Biden.
Not working.
No, it's not going to work.
It's not working. And, what she's not understanding because she's not self-aware is just like Hillary Clinton. You can't go through life screwing people over, putting parents in jail over truancy of their children in school and doing all these things and being Willie Brown's girlfriend and everything else for personal gain. You can't step on everyone's toes your entire life like Hillary did, like Kamala has done, and then expect to be president one day.
Well, and she's not likable like Hillary.
Right.
If you're
Hillary's
likable,
no. Her and Hillary are both unlikable.
Right, they're not likable.
Hillary's not likable.
If you're likable, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah.
If you're a likable person, if the public likes you,
correct,
you can get away with a lot. They're willing to overlook, like Trump is likable. People that support him like him, and they're willing to overlook certain things like the Access Hollywood or certain things he says. They're willing to overlook that because they believe in him and what he's doing, and they just like him as a person. So they're willing to overlook a lot of things. But she's not likable. That's her problem, like Hillary. And that was the thing Hillary could not overcome. I don't think it was because of Bill Clinton. That didn't help. But Hillary's problem is she just is a snob, and she's not likable or relatable in any way, shape, or form.
And
she didn't
Kamala's
connect
the
with
same
people.
way. Kamala is
she's
the same
worse.
way.
Hillary's more likable than her. I'd like to see an approval of Hillary right now and Kamala. Kamala's like, 27? I'd like to see what Hillary's approval is now. Probably double that.
Well, it's probably higher now because she's not in office.
Right. But and
doing things.
Exactly.
But when she was in office, if you did some comparisons. Well, listen, we're all out of time, but we'll be back next time. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
From author Frankie Albritton comes a new book series that you will want to add to your must-read list. The Midas Plot, available on Amazon. In The Midas Plot, follow young Matt List, who yearns for adventure. The son of a banker with a prominent but mysterious past, his unique abilities seem wasted as he herds cattle on desolate ranches in the Southwest while collecting debts for his father's bank. It's the dawn of an era when gold reigns supreme and a new power, the United States, led by a dynamic president, begins to exert its military and economic influence on the world stage. Having survived war and now a graduate of West Point and England's Cambridge University, Matt must use his background as a military officer, aviation pioneer, and founding member of the Federal Reserve to combat a worldwide conspiracy by Midas and his Eternal Ones to manipulate gold markets. Using dark powers, they change history to fulfill their catastrophic prophecy. Using the relics of the Eternal Ones, the choices Matt makes will determine if he will forever be with beautiful but mysterious Helena or permanently end the journey of the Eternal Ones. Start your journey to eternity with book 1 of this epic series, The Midas Plot, from author Frankie Albritton, available on Amazon. Order your copy right now.